So how bad was the border crisis, really is, in Del Rio? And it's actually pretty much all over the border, except where the wall is. It seems to be not, you don't have that kind of problem in El Paso like you do in Del Rio. Texas Congressman August Pfluger was there, and he has a new op-ed out describing what he saw. He says it's way worse than you can even imagine, and it's really hard to get a gauge on it. I mean, the drone shots are great, but being on the ground there and seeing it, and seeing the crowds for yourself, that's something else. Congressman Pfluger serves on the Foreign Affairs and Foreign Security Committees. He joins us now to discuss. Congressman, so good to see you. Thanks for taking some of your time out today. What was your experience there on the ground? Because a lot of folks, they could see from the drone imagery, thousands of people. They saw the people coming across the dam. They would see people lining up. They saw tents and all kinds of makeshift shelters set under the bridge, the international highway there. It's one thing to see it, but it's another thing to be there and actually see the numbers firsthand and witness those conditions. What was your experience?
Well, everything you're saying is true. Typically when you think of refugee camps, you think of situations in other countries that have created them. In this case, it was a situation in our country that created that. And the pictures that you're showing, I was there about 10 days ago on Saturday where it was 100 degrees, and we literally had 15,000 illegal immigrants there, most of them Haitians, who had come to the United States because they heard Del Rio specifically was open. The policies of this administration have directly led to this situation and many others. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the rest of our border and how open it is. But one of the things that really struck me as just so odd is they shut down the bridge, the port of entry where we have $35 million of economic activity and trade between the United States and Mexico every day. But just 100 yards from there, where you saw that dam, people were crossing back and forth. They were charging their cell phones in Mexico. They were coming back across with ice and water and food for their families. And the conditions were horrific.
Texas Congressman, what's going to happen to all of our tax dollars? Because as I understand it, the governor's using, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, something like $3 billion to help deal with this, and whether it is sending agents down or some Border Patrol agents or trying to do whatever they can that they're able to do. Can we send an invoice to the Biden administration? Just, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to figure out where to send our invoices to get a return on the tax dollars that we're spending, because that seems like a reverse violation of the 10th Amendment.
Well, for Texans, it's a double tax, and I've introduced a piece of legislation that is aimed at exactly that, to reimburse the state of Texas for the several billion dollars, $2 to $3 billion that are being spent on DPS troopers, National Guard troops. Think about our hospitals and our schools. Those are the kinds of things that are real cost to the state of Texas. We pay federal taxes, but we also, in our state budget, are now having to do what the federal government will not do. And I mentioned this to Secretary Mayorkas, and I said, the federal government has abdicated their responsibility to protect our southern border. And it made him very mad, but the numbers don't lie. And the policies have caused this directly. Texas should be reimbursed. And I dare say that other states like Arizona, New Mexico, and California are probably in a similar situation, but for sure Texas.
Yeah. And last question for you. In any other situation where you would have a federal program that the federal government wants the state to operate, but yet does not give the state those resources to do so. I mean, states in the past have successfully sued. I mean, there's Supreme Court precedents on this. Do you think that that's a possibility for the state of Texas and these other border states to do the same thing? Because now all these people, these states are being forced to implement quasi-implement what the federal government is supposed to be doing. Of course, they have to just catch and release because the federal government's not going to allow anyone to be detained. But to me, that seems like it would be similar enough to make the case. I don't know. I just wanted to get your final thoughts on that.
No, absolutely. It's an unfunded mandate. That's exactly what it is. The policies are creating costs that are incurred at the local level and the state level. My district is feeling it, whether it's car crashes. I mean, just this week we had a car full of 5 or 6 illegal immigrants, Haitians. There was a 6-month-old, tragic. I mean, just absolutely tragic, that was ejected out of the window and killed immediately because they were running from the law enforcement. These are unfunded mandates that are being caused by the Biden administration. Our local communities are paying for this. We're not getting reimbursed. That's why I introduced legislation, and I hope that it'll be bipartisan, that we can get people on there that understand that it's these policies that are causing us to have to pay more and do a job that should be done by the federal government. We need the president to step up and to actually get a clue about what's going on at the southern border.